A bit of story of MoneyFarm. MoneyFarm is now almost 7 years old, started in Italy, backed by a venture capital, an Italian venture capital, and we grow there knowing since day one that these things would have been something that would have been affected across Europe, because this is kind of a need at European level. Why I'm saying that? Because to invest money for a small or medium-sized investor, it's really complicated. It actually offers a possible scenario. The first one is going through the traditional network, which could be tied agent or could be banks. And there you have the problem of a very strong conflict of interest, right? Which is the difference between the need of a client or the investor, which is effectively an advice, helping them to understand what is good for him. And on the other side, a structure that is based on selling products. So in the best of the cases, there could be a mismatch between what the client is looking for, which is advice, and what he's receiving, which is a product. Alternative B is execution only. What does it mean? It goes into the platform and buys a financial product. There's plenty of opportunity there. Problem, though, is that it's not much a question of accessing the market. It's a question of buying the right things for your needs. So with this in mind, we start building MoneyFarm, as I said, in Italy at the beginning. But considering that this is a problem that you can find easily all across Europe, as I said, ambition has been to expand. And this is what we have done until basically the very beginning. So what are the elements that in some way makes us, let's say, slightly different, or with some feature that represent us more clearly? Let's start with the hybrid model. What does it mean, hybrid model? It means that even though at the beginning the idea was really driven by technology, it took us a very short amount of time to understand that a purely digital and technological approach would have been not enough for this type of service. Why I'm saying that? Because, as Martin was saying already, it's not a payment system, it's not a transaction. It requires trust, it requires brand building, it requires something that takes time, because for a client to move 10, 20, 50,000 euro from his usual investment to a new platform, well, it takes some time. And each one of us has a different approach to this topic. So what we have done since the very early days is basically leave the client the opportunity to choose the approach, which means that a client can do everything by himself directly, not even contacting any of the customer service guys or enter into a contact with us in whichever way he wants, in whatever way he wants, from a telephone call to a meeting to a chat to whatever. And this represents, in fact, a complete change of paradigm in which in the traditional financial service model, the tied agent is somewhat forced to interact with the client, because this is the only way in which he can make his money. While here is the client that has the call to decide the level of interaction. This has been a very important lesson that we had since day one, and which we are basically applying in Italy, and we are applying in UK, and in future we will also apply in Germany. Geography. Geography, as I said, was something that was in our mind since day one. So we started in Italy. As I said, Italy, I don't know if you're aware of, is one of the richest countries in terms of private savings and investment from the personal perspective. So there's a huge amount of money invested through a traditional network agent and banks, and which are probably misserved, to say the least. So we started from there, and then we moved into UK. And in UK, 3 years ago, we launched a service very similar with different type of products related to clients and country need. And now we are ready to launch in Germany, actually more than ready, because today we are launching our new service in Germany, and I will talk about this in the following slide. The third point is the partnership, and partnership is a very relevant point for our business, because yes, we were born as a B2C, but we also realize that the level of partnership and the way in which you can interact with large brands could be extremely powerful for the company and for the growth. And so again, I will talk about this when I will introduce you the German project, and Allianz being our main partner for some times now. But at the same time, we're working on different partnerships across Europe, namely UK and Italy, to basically reinforce the second pillar of the strategy, which is the B2B component. So here we are. We have announced just today, and it's in the press, our launch, which is somewhat different compared to the traditional approach we're having in Italy and UK. Well, first of all, is a joint effort between us and Allianz Group, namely AGI. And it's different because what we're doing here, and now I'm going, unfortunately, a bit back on the product feature, so forgive me if it's become a bit not so appealing, but so the idea is effectively to mingle the competencies of MoneyFarm and Allianz in order to basically build the best of both worlds. What does it mean? It means that on top of it is the proposition of MoneyFarm, which is going to be a digital profiling, it's going to be a full transparency, which is going to be the advisory concept that I gave you before, which is going to be a very easy to use approach and interface. But on the back, what we have decided to do is basically experiment something that is a bit more of an hybrid in terms of products. So usually, digital wealth managers use ETF, and actually we do use ETF to build our portfolio until today. They are cheap, they are transparent, they are effective. What we are trying to do here is something slightly different. So we have decided to build an active-passive portfolio. So in other words, there's going to be ETF, but there's also going to be active funds that will come both from Allianz and from third parties in order to have a portfolio of mixed instruments. Good news is the portfolio structured in this way will be priced at the same price as an ETF portfolio. So in other words, we managed to slash the fees of the active funds to a level of the ETF. How that is possible? We are basically using institutional prices for the funds. And we also had from Allianz a support of basically issuing new share class of funds that will be fully dedicated to the digital experiment. So in other words, the investment of the client will be a solution of a mix of ETF and funds. The other, I think, relevant element is that institutional class shares usually are not allowed to buy for retail clients, and this is another interesting opportunity for a client that wants to enter into this world, paying as low as he can for active products, okay? The third point is the risk management, and here I will go very, very briefly, but in essence, what is going to happen is that AGI will manage through their competencies, the portfolio as well as the risk. In other words, they will be in charge to manage portfolios, to rebalance it, and to basically keep risk at a lower level possible, at the same time generating the return that we were all expecting. Again, it's an interesting mix, because until today, what we've always done has been everything full stack by ourselves, using only ETF. Here we are entering with a different product, which is going to be a sort of a best of the two worlds. Today, it's for Germany only. Tomorrow, we will decide what to do, but this is a very interesting move forward into the openness of the architecture of the offering, right? At the same time, what we're doing in Italy is launching a second product alongside the discretionary mandate, which is going to be a pension product. This is another important pillar of the strategy. So in the UK, we already have a pension product. We're going to have a pension product in Italy as well. It's going to be an individual pension one. Ambition is really to grow as well from the type of solution within the digital wealth. So just to conclude a shorter and more direct presentation, we have a stand here. There's people there with a bit of a demo. You can help. Go in there, trying the demo, understand how it works, and connect with us and see the proposition and go in a bit more into detail on the product. Thank you very much.